Welcome to Echoes Untold, the channel where history whispers and we listen. Today, we bring you a chilling and often overlooked maritime tragedy, the mysterious sinking of the HMS Affray in 1951. This Royal Navy submarine disappeared during a routine training exercise, sending shockwaves through the British military and the nation. A desperate search followed, but when the wreck was finally discovered, there were no survivors. What went wrong that night? Was it equipment failure, human error, or something even more sinister? Stay with us as we dive deep into the haunting story of HMS Affray, a silent grave beneath the waves. HMS Affray was one of the 16 Amphion-class submarines designed for service in the Pacific during World War II. Launched in 1944 and commissioned in 1945, she was built with cutting-edge wartime technology to operate in tropical waters. However, with the war ending before she could see combat, the Affray instead found itself serving in post-war Britain's evolving naval strategy. By 1951, the Royal Navy was in the midst of transformation. The rise of the Cold War meant that submarine warfare was no longer about direct combat but about intelligence gathering, training, and readiness for potential conflicts. The Affray, though over 6 years old, remained in active service, frequently used for training new submariners and testing operational tactics. However, hidden beneath its sturdy steel frame were issues that would soon spell disaster. On the evening of April 16, 1951, HMS Affray set sail from Portsmouth for a routine training exercise known as Exercise Spring Train. This was meant to be a standard, overnight mission in the English Channel, testing the crew's ability to remain undetected while submerged. A total of 75 men were aboard: officers, regular submariners, and a group of Royal Marines undergoing training. This was an unusually high number for a vessel of its size, but it was common for training missions to carry additional personnel. The mission plan was straightforward. Affray would dive into the English Channel that night. It would conduct simulated attack maneuvers. The following morning, it was expected to surface and report back to Portsmouth, but that report never came. The first sign of trouble came when scheduled radio transmissions from the Affray did not come through. At first, naval commanders assumed a minor technical issue, something that could be fixed before the next scheduled check-in. But when multiple calls went unanswered, alarm bells rang. HMS Affray had vanished without a trace. By the following day, April 17th, a full-scale search operation was underway. The Royal Navy deployed an armada of ships, aircraft, and submarines to scour the waters off the coast of England. Even assistance from allied nations was sought as the search expanded. As days passed, the grim reality set in. This was no ordinary mishap. HMS Affray was missing, and time was running out. 4 days later, on April 21, 1951, sonar detected an object resting at the bottom of the English Channel, about 7 miles off Alderney, in the Channel Islands. When naval divers finally reached the site, they confirmed the worst: it was HMS Affray. The submarine was lying in about 260 feet, 79 meters, of water, deep enough to make any rescue attempt impossible. The men inside had perished. But the biggest question remained: what had caused the disaster? With no survivors and the submarine's hull largely intact, investigators were left to piece together the puzzle from what little evidence they had. Several theories emerged. The leading theory pointed to a failure in the snort mast, a device that allowed diesel-powered submarines to take in air while submerged. If the snort mast had broken or collapsed, it could have caused a sudden rush of water into the vessel, making it unstable. A catastrophic flood might have sent the submarine into a fatal dive before the crew could react. The Affray was built in wartime conditions, and like many submarines of that era, it had been subjected to years of stress, pressure, and repeated refits. Some naval experts suggested that the vessel may have had structural weaknesses, leading to a crack or hull breach. However, when the wreck was examined, no major damage to the hull was found, making this theory less likely. With 75 people on board, including trainees, there were concerns that an inexperienced or overworked crew member might have made a fatal mistake. However, this was purely speculative, as the crew was considered well-trained. At first, some theorized that the Affray might have collided with another ship or even an unidentified object underwater. But no external damage consistent with a collision was ever found on the wreck. In the end, the official inquiry concluded that the most probable cause was a failure in the snort mast, leading to flooding, instability, and ultimately, a fatal descent. The loss of HMS Affray was Britain's last peacetime submarine disaster. The tragedy sent shockwaves through the Royal Navy, prompting new safety regulations, stricter maintenance routines, and improvements in submarine design. Families of the lost crew received condolences from military and government officials, but for many, the lack of clear answers left a lasting sense of grief and frustration. To this day, the wreck of HMS Affray remains a protected war grave, serving as a solemn reminder of the dangers faced by submariners. The sinking of HMS Affray remains one of the Royal Navy's most haunting maritime mysteries. What truly happened that night beneath the waves? Could a simple equipment failure really have doomed 75 men in an instant? Or was there an unknown factor at play? One thing is certain, the Affray's story is one that should never be forgotten. If you found this story fascinating, please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Echoes Untold. We bring you hidden stories from history, where whispers of the past still echo today. Echoes Untold, where history whispers and we listen. Fact check note, this account is based on official Royal Navy records, the 1951 Board of Inquiry findings, and research from the Royal Navy and the Cold War Submarine Disasters by Ian Ballantyne. Additional sources include National Archives UK and declassified military documents.